is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to the NFL Pick 6 Show, Week 2. 1 week down, 17 more to go. Usual suspects. Got John Daigle from ETR, Established the Run. Rich Hribar, sharp football analysis on Dean. You got TJ. TJ's Warich, producing the show behind the proverbial glass. Pick 6 Show, we're going to talk about 3 main games on the main slate. Circle back and give our favorite plays position by position. Talk about that in just a second. It is a forward-thinking show, but I think because it was week 1, we do have to touch on week 1 just a little bit. Let's first say hello. John Daigle from Parts Unknown on the road here, kind of sort of sum up. What's up, Daigle?
What's funny is that as last week when I was scrolling through past week 1 videos to try and notch down how long we've all done this together, there was a comment from a few years ago in one of those videos that said, Rich has a C hat on, Dean's talking about movies, and Daigle's using Wi-Fi powered by an Amish lighthouse. We are so back. And I feel like sometimes things just don't change, as my power went out yesterday. And so now I'm once again running across Chicago trying to find a home like Silva's to record from.
Yeah, nothing changes. Speaking of movies, we'll talk about I happened to win. This happened organically. I wasn't gloating or anything, but I happened to win our contest this week, and I will assign our movie that we're going to talk about next week. We'll discuss that later on in the show. I think just Daigle, you were right there about a point. It was a point, could have gone either way. It was a close call, but I happened to take down our first week for our movie conversation.
I love how everyone cheers for just Dean not to win. Like it's like everyone.
Why is that? Why am I the heel? I don't understand why I'm the heel. How does that work out? That's fine. I'll embrace it. But
for those that were not in our DMs, did not see the conversation. Yes, I was inches away as I did not play Ibuka in a small field because to me, I kept trying to fit Baker Mayfield because I couldn't wrap my head around playing Mike Evans and Ibuka without Baker Mayfield. So I was like, okay, I'm going to leverage off Ibuka instead in this little tournament of ours to pick the movie. And yes, I'm the one who came up less than a point short. And the moment we found out, and I screenshotted it, that you won, the next words are Rich with the F word in capital letters. Just not excited at all that you had won.
We're just not movie compatible, I guess. Rich does not like the movies I suggest. Although we all kind of collectively picked this week's movie that we're going to talk about next week. And we'll talk about that later on in the show. Rich, how are things? How was week 1? I did want to say, you mentioned YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube comments. They say do not venture in the YouTube comments. And I did. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. They were very kind. They were very, very kind on YouTube. Appreciate that. Thank you for the kindness.
For week 1, they were kind.
Yeah, there you go. We checked the week 17 comments. Circle back. Yeah, you screwed me over in week 10. I won't let it go.
I played Joe Flacco.
I didn't know he was 47 years old. All right, so I did want to touch on week 1. We kind of mentioned it, and you were sort of talking about it, Rich, a little pre-show in regards to your writing, and you're not really sure what's important, what's not important. What kind of takeaways you have as far as week 1 and, general takes. Just want a couple questions before we move on and talk about week 2. But Rich, your priors, your off-season takes. Is there one that you feel good about? Is there one that you feel bad about? Like after just seeing week 1, you're like, oh, I love this. This was a great take. It's looking great after 1 week. And is there one you'd like to take back possibly?
I think the one that for sure I would take back was just the Chargers in general. It's not that I didn't draft some Chargers. I have Ladd McConkey on teams and some Hampton and stuff, but I was one of the ones that kind of looked at what happened last year. It's like, is this like was this like a symptom of what happened to them during the year where they couldn't run the football, the offensive line couldn't run block, the running backs were bad and inefficient. They lost the playoff game throwing 4 interceptions. I'm like, is this really like what Harbaugh and Roman want to do? Offensively, they use the first round pick on a running back. They spend a bunch of money on a guard and on free agency. I'm like, man, they might go back to like doing Harbaugh and Roman stuff. And nope, they're right back there. Just like, this is a pass first team, and it's glorious too. I'm happy to be wrong about this because it's glorious, and we're gonna all like enjoy Charger games. But they are a pass team, like for sure. But they had in that Friday game in Brazil, I don't know if you guys remember, it was the second quarter, and the Chiefs down to punt at the 1 yard line. And the first play, the Chargers just like ripped a like downfield throw from the 1 yard line. I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, this is not the Harbaugh Roman years of past. Like these guys mean business. So I'm very happy to see them put the ball into their best players' hands. Not everyone does it, and we had a lot of that in week one. My big thing that I kind of saw week one was a lot of the green first-time play callers, except for one, which we'll talk about. They really struggled in week one. A lot of these new offensive coordinators really did not have good counter punches and good approaches, in their inaugural debut. A lot of time to breathe, and these guys are new, but there's a long list of first-time play callers that really struggled in week one.
I think we may be talking about two of the only coaches I was encouraged by on today's show.
Yeah. I saw the number as far as the unders. Like basically every single game went under with the exception of Pittsburgh and the Jets.
It was 12-4. Yeah, it was 12-4.
The main slate, I think it was. Just some of the later the night games, I think went over.
Oh, the last two games went over, the two primetime games. They were like the main slate was all but the Steelers game on the main slate. If anyone played it, which is funny because it also had the lowest total, and it's not like it barely went over with the lowest total. Like it was like it cooked. It was an amazing game.
Naked Justin Fields won the $5 Millie Maker on DraftKings, and then the $20 Millie Maker was the quarterback we talked about, that if you do not spend up for Jaden Daniels, you were most likely spending down for Daniel Jones. They just had him double stacked with Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
That the Dolphins, man.
And I don't expect much from the chat, Dean, but what I do want is the one individual last week who came in there and said, it's week one. Why are y'all getting too cute and talking about Harold Fannin? I need this guy to show up and post the Shaq meme because he was not aware of our game.
Daigle, I had a similar question, same question, however you want to handle the question I asked for Hribar, but maybe week one, and like this is a thing where like if it happens in week 7 or week 9, you wouldn't really notice it, but we only have the 1 week data, and of course last year's stuff and things like that. But is there something unexpected that happened week one that you think, and that might be a Fanning question actually, something unexpected that happened week one that is sticky, as they say? And or is there something that kind of stands out to you that this is going to be an outlier in 2 months? This is going to be this person's best game, this offense's best game, and this is going to look wonky. Is there any sort of take like that? Anything you see?
Obviously, with so many chats throughout the week, I've been asked this quite a few times, and I'm just the worst person to talk to after week one because my mind is still so open to the possibilities. Like, I hope I'm wrong, but Rich, when you mentioned the Chargers, I'm still skeptical too, because like everything was so outlandishly fun what they did. Like to lead the league in pass rate over expectation by a wide margin over Kansas City. I'm like, well, what if this is just a one-off because that's how they wanted to attack a division opponent? It would not be shocking if we see Roman and Harbaugh go back to their old ways in week 2. So I'm still leaving my mind open to interpretation for a lot of these offenses. I do think the Jets, who we're about to talk about, were one of the most fun surprises of the year, which is good because we need the first seed of Ben Johnson, Tanner Engstrand, to carry on the legacy of the next great coaching tree.
Buffalo and the Jets. It is the dessert of our 3 games. We have an entree coming up in a second, but the appetizer game is the Jags and the Bengals. 48.5 is the total. Cincinnati a 3.5-point favorite. Somehow escaped Cleveland with a victory despite, I think, was 7 yards of offense in the second half, which is just, man, Cincinnati Stacks just getting absolutely annihilated there in the second half of that game. Just a brutal game for Cincinnati and Cleveland. Daigle, I will let you start. Jags had a weird game too, that lightning delay. And I'm still a T-Law skeptic. I still don't see it. I know he's supposed to be electric this year with the new coordinator and new pieces, but it's the Bengals. And in theory, you should be able to light them up. This should be one of the higher scoring games on the board. I believe the 48.5 total. Yes, it is actually the highest total on the board. So, John, lead us off. Start wherever you want to start. Jags and Bengals.
And since we're talking about 3 games in the first slate today, I was hoping you'd leave this one for last because this was going to be fun as hell. But we'll whet everyone's appetite by talking about what I believe is going to be the best game of the day in the Jets and Bills. And I'll start with the Bills side. You also mentioned what surprised me the most. And although I think the Ravens get it together on that side of the ball, like to see their defense basically not be able to make a single play, that could be fun because that could leave the Ravens into more jailbreak game scripts who always want that for Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. But for this game in particular, for the Josh Allen side. Since I've talked about Tanner Engstrand and Justin Fields on waiver wires all week, I'll let Rich do that. But for the Josh Allen side, it's fun because we got to see everything carry over for the Jets defense. Head coach Aaron Glenn, who obviously was the defensive coordinator for Detroit last year, led the league in man coverage, not only in 2024, but 50% of the Jets defensive stats last week was also from man. And last season, recall that Josh Allen not only oddly had 83% of his touchdowns against man coverage through the air, but the second most carries of the season, 12, against Detroit last year. And in week 1, whenever the Ravens threw man concepts at him, he went 15 of 20 for 10.8 yards per attempt. It's also fun because when you're talking about Josh Allen, who can always play naked, but there are a couple different ways to go about it, including with Keon Coleman as an obvious stacking partner, just because for his career, he's had an easier time against man coverage, which makes sense. I'll tell you the advanced stats, but honestly, when you think about who Keon Coleman was coming out of college, bodying people for contested catches is what he does best. And it does seem like anytime Josh Allen sees him open, that's when he targets him. Last year, 25% of his targets came against man as opposed to 13%. In week 1, 33% of his targets came against man coverage on Sunday night and that fun as hell game. And so I think that's the most obvious player if I'm overplaying this game, if I'm onslaughting it, because there are different ways you can go about it, who I'm playing with. But I also do want to touch on Khalil Shakir because he did at least seem like he was healthy coming off that high ankle sprain from camp in week 1. And the matchup may not be good for Shakir. I'll say that because, like, for instance, on Sunday night, Zay Flowers obviously played against the Bills. He ran a route on every drop back. He finished second in the league with a 47.5% target share and fantasy's overall wide receiver 1. But even then, from the slot, just 3 catches for 49 yards where Shakir plays. But in terms of how we're building this for DFS, like, remember, you did need Shakir whenever Josh Allen went off last year and these 2 indoor games against the Lions, and Shakir had a lesser game against the Rams. But in particular, you can drag both along. You can drag one along, and that's why I think it's such an interesting spot.
All right, Rich. Buffalo, the Jets. Buffalo 7-point favorite here in New York. You saw that Jet defense, a part of the biggest total, kind of get lit up last week by Rodgers for Pittsburgh. Yeah, we saw Breece Hall look like the clear number 1 there for the Jets. I believe he was. I'm sure you have the split stuff, but separating himself at least for 1 week. I know there's a lot of offseason thoughts that Allen would overthrow Hall at some point. It was nice to see a more concise target tree for Buffalo as far as the receivers. Coleman, Shakir, Palmer, as far as running routes out there. They weren't running like the fringe guys as much as they have in seasons past. Allen, of course, is spectacular. Like Daigle said, you can play him a la carte. How are you handling Buffalo and the Jets? One thing I wanted to note before I throw it to you, Rich, I was looking at Derek Carty's the Blitz, and this game is projected for the fewest number of plays. Just thought that was interesting. Expectation, a lot of running for the Jets. Where do you want to start as far as Buffalo? Feel free to jump on over to the Jets, knock out the game in its entirety.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets, on the small sample, and it goes into the preseason, they've just been, so extremely, run heavy so far. They only had a 37% drop back rate in neutral game scripts. That was the lowest rate. The league rate was 59.4%. And then we know Joe Brady, when the Bills have been in neutral game scripts, they slow down too, and they don't really throw the football a lot too. So that's probably why it's kind of, influencing that a little bit. But yeah, like Daigle said, if Aaron Glenn is going to do Aaron Glenn things, like he did in week 1, against Josh Allen, like that's always been like the bread and butter. We had the stat going last year, remember, for like how many weeks, like Josh Allen still hasn't thrown a touchdown against zone coverage and like Aaron Glenn didn't care. But so yeah, that's the kind of the runway. Like it's tougher to diagnose kind of like the Buffalo receiver stuff because like they all just got over like in like because they ran 80 plays, right?
Yeah,
like that's the tough part. Like Keon Coleman had 17 yards through 3 quarters. like on Sunday night. It's just like, it's really kind of hard to know like what we're gonna get and like all the 1 game sample stats we have there. The Jets were just structurally, I think, an interesting team, and like, obviously they're gonna be a hot team because they overachieved, but they only have a 20-point team total. Like at home, they're dogs. They're almost touchdown dogs. Like typically this is a spot we're not excited about in offense, right? But when I think about like week one things, and you think about like overreacting and underreacting because everything matters and nothing matters, in week one, you want to think about it from like the angle of like, if you're right and you're wrong, like what it costs you, right? And like being bullish and aggressive on the Jets for DFS, there's a little more cost than like season, but being bullish on the Jets in this, like being something that they can move going forward and build on is something that can really pay out like maximum dividends, right? Like Justin Fields, we know, like if he fails, is still like a usable runner. He has like the Konami floor and he's going to be useful. If he even is an average passer, then that even bumps him up to like a mid-range QB1. And if he's a good, like a above average, a good passer, then like he can break slates and he can break fantasy, especially his ADP. And we didn't have a lot of guys in like his archetype this season, like his ADP and redraft. Like there weren't many guys that offered like a lot of rushing upside this year. He was like the only guy. So if he's going to put together the best passing season he could have, and it's one game, we're not going to go crazy, but the things we liked was just structurally putting Justin Fields in a position not to fail, right? Like he had the lowest yards to gain on third downs. He ended up he only got sacked one time. And it's just because of, like, we talked about this offense. They were able to have like this run first control offense. They're able to play a lot of motion. They're playing a lot of power. And what makes this matchup interesting is it's coming literally 1 week after the Buffalo Bills could not stop any power RPO. Like, dude, yeah. Joey Bosa was an absolute hell that entire night. Like, he got one RPO right, the whole night. Like, it was crazy. That's what's fun. Like, does that help the Bills because they just faced it? Or do the Jets look at that and they'd say, like, man, they didn't stop any of this. Let's attack them and see early on in the game, like, have they adjusted? Have they kind of? The other thing about the Bills too that really stood out to me on Sunday night is their defense looks slow. They look slow, like real slow. They got some old defenders. Like, they just might not have enough team speed on that side of the ball too. It's like I said, 1 week, we're not going crazy, but I'm worried about the team speed on the Buffalo defensive side. And like I said, what really makes that matchup interesting is the power run game and the types of runs that the Ravens had success with is what the Jets, had success with. On outside zone runs last week, Derrick Henry had 9.8 yards per carry. Guess who had the second most outside zone runs in week one? Breece Hall. Yeah, 7.1 yards per carry on his outside zone runs in week one. Like, you're going to get the same diet of the Saints. We're going to see, did you adjust? Did you find an answer for what you couldn't stop in week one? That's what makes this matchup really interesting for both sides, the Bills defense and the Jets offense.
I'm actually upset, or this show is going to go to the moon, because if I could share my screen, I'm not going to. I literally have the outside zone note in my notes, Rich. We are simpatico right now.
What I am afraid of here is what you kind of outlined, Rich, is the Jets. Their dream here is to play keep away, have like a 17-play drive with 15 runs that takes up 13 minutes. Yeah. And Josh Allen doesn't see the ball until like a minute in the first quarter. Like, I'm afraid to play Bills for that reason. And 1 week, and I know it's Baltimore and Henry, but still, like, Hall and Fields running the ball, I don't trust the Bills to be able to stop it. So I just think they're going to rip off 6 and 7 and 5 and, like 7 first downs and just destroy the clock in this game.
Gosh, so I'm more concerned about the opportunity cost of not playing this game. Like, we'll talk about that when we get to positional plays, but fading Josh Allen and Justin Fields, like, think about the quarterbacks on the slate as a whole who can match them. Lamar Jackson is here as a double-digit home favorite, so perhaps that leads us to the big dog naturally, but that's when I'm thinking about. Also, as JJ says in the chat, I got to bring the mic down. I will continue pushing the volume down. TJ, you tell me when I'm more on par with their volume.
I thought that was good now. It started a little hot. I'm wondering if JJ maybe is watching us from the beginning and not potentially live. So JJ,
he's a little hot. He's a little hot with us.
Let us know, but that sounds it sounds pretty good to me right now.
I'm like a quarter now. So as we do things that should have been done off the show, here we are. Pick six still rolling in week 2.
Yeah, so it's a fantasy football podcast.
I didn't mean for that to sound like I don't want to play Josh Allen, but like I do, but I'm just afraid of them just like sitting on the bench for a large chunk of this game if the Bills cannot subdue.
Well, historically, the week 2 kind of mantra has been, you don't have to fade everything that happened in week 1, but like, you play kind of like everyone's priors, right? Like, we'll talk about Jags, Bengals, right? Listen, I don't know if we're going to talk about Patriots, Dolphins, if anyone has the stomach to do things.
Somebody's got to win.
Yeah, but I mean, like typically in week 2, it's the overreaction week, right? Like week 2 is usually a pretty profitable week for gamers. Like, obviously people see the Jets look like awesome, and everyone jams the Jets in, and this game is 23-16, right? Like it just no one really gets there. Like so there definitely is that outcome there. I still think from the upside angle though, it makes sense to be a little bit bullish on like at least the Fields part of it. The 2 quarterbacks at least for this angle, because they could both have just kind of slate breaking performances because of the touchdown equity. And one thing that happened in week 1, it was not like a great scoring week in week 1, but man, we saw quarterback rushing it just went nuclear in week 1. I don't know if this is going to be a trend like the rest of the season, but for week 1, quarterback set a week 1 record for attempts, carries, and touchdowns, like massively too.
Daniel Jones' legs, so nothing else. Just the lower part of his body was the QB 17 on the week.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so like you do have that upside angle, and then you just structurally, Tanner Engstrand did a lot of things that I look for. Like, did you pass the test? There were so many of these green coordinators that they just really kind of stuck with what they thought was going to work. Like, made no adjustments, didn't do anything creative. But Engstrand wasn't kind of one of those guys. I mean, they used pre-snap motion on 64% of Fields dropbacks. That was 9th in the league. They used a ton of play action. Like they were just doing things structurally that succeeds in like this current like defensive meta. And like, so like I liked what I saw, and as I said, one game and like, but you like proof of concept, right? So I mean, the tougher parts are like some of the other guys like you bet on, like, Garrett Wilson had a really nice game in week 1, but the second half of that game, he kind of ghosted in that game. Like he didn't kind of go along for the ride for the full game and go nuclear. The Steelers did adjust because Joey Porter Jr. got hurt in that game, and they just used Jalen Ramsey on him. Like they were like, screw it, just put Jalen Ramsey on him. The other guy's Josh Reynolds. We don't care. Like, because that's going to happen to Garrett Wilson. So like they have no other answers for like through a passing game. Like you can do stuff with Fields' legs, you can do stuff to run game, but when they have to do a drop back pass game, like it's Garrett Wilson or nobody. Like they've got nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's interesting for the Bills side too, because we don't really do the cornerback shadow stuff that much, but like one of the better cornerbacks in the league is Sauce Gardner, and Aaron Glenn used him in a capacity that we had not seen Sauce Gardner used to this point in his career, where he played a little shadow coverage. And like we might like Keon Coleman's man coverage splits, but like, do we like him as much against Sauce Gardner? So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. Do they care? Do they even care about shadowing a guy like Keon Coleman? Right? Like that also could just be a thing.
Is he worthy of being like,
right? Exactly. Right.
Has he earned that right? If you're playing Josh Allen, Reeves, are you playing him with Coleman, Shakir, Palmer?
I think I would just be playing him
by himself.
Yeah. And
you can do the same with Fields. This is like the a la carte quarterback game if you want, right? Just play Fields, just play Allen. Don't necessarily have to.
I am into Hall. I'm in the Hall because of the big plays, right? Like he looked like 2 years ago, Breece Hall, like creating yards after contact. Last year, what happened to Breece Hall is he made nobody miss. He didn't force any missed tackles and create any explosives. And he looked like excellent in terms of like Iowa State year 2 Breece Hall in the NFL. And if you have a guy, even though the problem with Breece Hall is like he's gonna have to deal with the mobile quarterback near the end zone. And Jesus, Steelers, it's 4th and 1. What do you think, Justin? What do you think they're doing on 4th and 1? Like how do you not have like full commitment to Justin Fields running that football?
And that was the bootleg, right? Where nobody touched them. Nobody was close. Yeah.
Like as it's happening, it's the whole time. It's like, we know exactly what's happening here. Oh, I guess we don't. Like
it's not the Dolphins where on 4th down they throw the ball 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage and tell Devon Achane go get a touchdown.
Just go do it.
He did.
Justin Fields, he did. He really did do it. That was their touchdown, though.
Yeah, it reminded me of like with Peyton Manning. Nobody sees the bootleg. Remember the famous Peyton Manning bootleg where like nobody touches him?
Oh yeah,
10 yards.
Steve Bono has the GOAT one. Someone just did an HD remake of it, and it's amazing.
Steve Bono, shout out there. Shout out.
Yeah, if YouTube the Steve Bono naked boot, it's hilarious. Like it's awesome. It's incredible.
I'm going to write that down and check it out after the show. You referenced it, Reeves. Let's talk about it. You kind of teased about the new coordinators. Chicago, the Bears are taking on the Lions. 46.5 is the total. Both these teams, their offenses kind of sputtered. Detroit back in the dome, 6-point favorites at home in the Ben Johnson Bowl. Get us started here, Hribar. Oh, look at TJ. TJ is all over it, showing us there. Here it is. He's on top of it. Yeah. Hope you guys are watching us on the YouTube.
Yeah, this is cinema. Look at that lineman. The lineman's just
That's amazing.
He's not even following. The lineman just stopped and said, "You run past me. I'm not following you." Like,
where's the all 11? I need this. Oh, the all 22. I need to see the all 22. Where's everybody at?
I think they do like the back. It's just an all-time play call. We need more naked boots though. The naked boot is, I think it's like
underrated.
It's the Sex Panther of plays, right? Like 60% of the time it works every time.
Also, Steve Bono is the pick six version of rolling the clip.
Bears, Lions, Hribar, get us started.
Yeah, it's funny too, and I saw some of the chat mentions. One thing we didn't talk about playing either quarterback in the game is that both quarterbacks can still get there if that game fails. Like the reason, it's like stacking Bills Jets is where you can fail, but like that game could be 23-17, and like Josh Allen or Justin Fields still has like a 20-25 point game. That's why playing the Malak cart is a little bit the kind of like my tactic too. But when you watch the Jets and you watch the Lions in week 1, all I kept thinking about is like, well, why did the Lions just promote Tanner Engstrom? Like, why did they just hire him? Like, he was there. Like, why did they just do that? I don't know what the interview process or what, because this Lions offense, man, was just a shell of the version of we saw, with Ben Johnson not being there. I mean, they had no under center passing game. Jared Goff had a league low 4.2 air yards per pass attempt. Only 23% of his throws were 10 or more yards downfield. That was 29th. He had the lowest rate of throws 20 or more yards downfield. We were worried about the offensive line changes, and he was pressured on 37% of his dropbacks. And outside of last year, last year was like his one outlier against pressure, but like historically, Jared Goff's been a guy, like if you move him off his spot, he has issues. That happened again, in week 1. The Packers didn't even blitz him. And like, we could be looking back on this, a few weeks from now and just saying, hey, it was a first-time play caller against the defense that was already good, because the Packers had an awesome back half of the year last year defensively. Obviously, they add Micah Parsons, and he only played 30 snaps, but his impact on the game when he played was significant in terms of Jared Goff's time to throw and what the Lions tried to structurally do on offense when he was on the field. But just the Lions just did absolutely nothing creative. And there was nothing. It was a very vanilla offense. They didn't try to push the ball downfield, and it was gross. It was gross, and it's really hard to kind of have a lot of faith in just saying like, all right, well, we'll just buy back in, but the books are telling us to, right? Like, they're at home. They're 5.5, 6 point favorites, and where you can get them. And they have a 26.5 point team total. Like, on just face value, you'd be like, all right, this is a spot we're going to let rip again and go back. So, I mean, how do we play this, right? Like, are we excited to play any of these guys? No, but these guys probably aren't going to be really popular. And we know there's a lot of talent on this side of the ball. One interesting thing though is like, we did not see this Jahmyr Gibbs unleashed that like people were like kind of hoping for, that were taking him one-on-one. That was like kind of the thesis, like new OC might want to get Jahmyr Gibbs the ball. That wasn't the case, man. He only had 55.9% of the backfield touches. That was RB27 on the week, and that was with 10 receptions. Like, he set a record for the fewest amount of receiving yards on double-digit catches, but not exactly what you have. But what you're worried about is the offensive line here and how it translated to the running game. Obviously we're going to need a larger sample to see how this flesh out, but like, Gibbs had 0 yards before contact per rush. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage on 6 of his 9 carries. Same thing happened for David Montgomery. So it's like, man, like, do we just have like mounting issues here? It's not like the coordinator stuff that stuff usually will figure itself out, the amount of talent the Lions have. I'm more worried about the interior of this offensive line and where it's at right now. And because Goff's pressure stuff historically has been an issue. And then if they're not able to run the football, everything that Jared Goff has done successfully over his career, whenever he's had success, has stemmed off the marriage of being able to run the football. Like, it's always gone hand in hand with Jared Goff, with the success of his run game and how he's able to perform off of the run game success. So I am a little bit nervous in that, like, 1 week, but maybe you guys can talk me into just alleviating my concerns for the backfield here.
The problem in talking you into everything is that it really takes a leap of faith, which we do in DFS. We cross our fingers and say, if it does go right, this is what happens. That's why I think I'm for nuking the Lions, as we've done in the past years, playing 4 of them, or just getting off entirely because they're all scoring touchdowns, or this is going to be a slog of a game where nothing is solved. Even as we continue to mention on the show, Jared Goff under pressure from a clean pocket. Even from a clean pocket last week, he had a 3.7 yard ADOT. Like, he's just dumping the ball off, which is why Jahmyr Gibbs left that game with a career high target share. So it does take a leap of faith to say, well, Jameson Williams was one of 7 guys in the league that ran around in every drop back. Maybe we'll just get him out there, roster him at some low ownership, and hope for the best that Goff decides to go downfield in a divisional game. But it's very tough, because then you talk about last year and Jameson Williams having a career high 18.5% target share, and that obviously ate into Sam Laporta. Is Jameson Williams the one now, if his target were to increase, does he eat into Sam Laporta again? And thus we don't want to play Laporta with Goff. And so it's really tough to navigate this game for DFS.
Rich, what was that record you said Gibbs had? The fewest yards for 10 receptions for running back? Is that what it was?
For any player, but usually all the guys at the bottom are running backs, because
Zach Ertz didn't have that record? I know Zach Ertz would be.
Hey, Zach Ertz still scoring touchdowns, man. This guy.
Yeah, he got in the box. That's all that matters. I feel like Kamara, maybe he didn't have 10 catches, but I feel like Kamara has had a couple, like 8 or 9 catches, 17 yards, and in his history. I feel like that's happened.
They were all like running back games, obviously, because of the types of targets those guys get. But it was a big PPR scam that Jahmyr Gibbs ran in week 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 10 points just on those receptions.
I mean, he had 19 rushing yards. He had a 14-yard run. Like,
he didn't get the over. That's the bet every single week.
Yeah, that's and then we got to put it on pause because the books juiced it up. Like, it was set at 18.5 last week. He had 19 total rushing yards.
And you mentioned they lost several pieces in the line, so it's to be expected that maybe they won't be as efficient.
And we might look back on it like in 5 weeks and just say, hey, the Green Bay defense is that legit. Like, hey, they ran into a buzzsaw week 1, but they're going back in the dome. Maybe Jalen Johnson is still out like for this game, and the floodgates are open. But it's just tough. It's really tough because all these guys are still relatively expensive. And they're harder to stack all at once because they are expensive. This isn't like 2 years ago when the Dolphins stacks like won everything, right? Like when they played the Ravens game and you could fit those guys in. Remember, that game kind of ruined it. Like, you were never able to fit those guys in kind of afterwards. It's the same thing when we get to the Bengals game. Like, if you still want to build a Burrow double, you have no money after that. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to build a Goff double, you have no money after that.
It's like stacking the Cubs, Dean. It made sense when they were averaging 7 runs in 30 degrees, but the moment the summer hit, they were all still priced over 6K and we're averaging 3 runs. So we just got to be careful of the salaries here.
What's happened to the Cubs and PCA and Tucker's hurts? It's all sorts of.
Don't get me started. I'm just slowly morphing to Silva every year that goes by.
So, boots in the ground. You're in Chicago. What are they saying about the Bears? How do you feel about them bouncing back here against the Lions, Daigle?
It's so hilarious that second half is the most Bears second half of all time. To start out with such promising hope and running on those scripted plays, and Caleb Williams looked awesome the first couple drives, and then to just fizzle out entirely. I actually, because I was riding the waiver wire, I turned it off. And I just thought, okay, well, like the Bears are doing so well, I don't need to watch this game. The Vikings are terrible. JJ McCarthy failing in his debut. And I had JJ McCarthy captain on DraftKings, so that led to me being upset. So I just turned the game off. And then like I got the notification later on my phone because I was listening to music about suddenly you're in the money. And it's like, I got to go back and watch this second half now to see JJ McCarthy absolutely dominate. So yeah, the Bears game was just funny because this is the same thing that happened last year. They just find a new way to lose in the second half every week. And like we'll talk about with the Jaguars when we get there, there were some promising features, but it was still the same Caleb Williams we saw. And at least we got like the second most rushing yards of his career, looked good scrambling in the first half, but he still finished 31st out of 32 quarterbacks and uncatchable pass rate. Like it was the same guy who struggled downfield. So you can get the rushing yards run out here, especially if you think this game is going over the total. But like we talked about with Browns Bengals last week, I'm kind of going to see what ownership's going to do because this game is so volatile and it could easily be 10-6 or 40-30. And I'm not sure which one direction it's going to go.
If you were stacking the game, who would you start with, Goff or Caleb?
We at least got in the, although like it was Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand who left. Like, we at least got the Lions still leading the league in man coverage last week. And just thinking about what Ben Johnson's thinking about, not to translate one player to the next offense, but Rome Odunze is the one who profiles most to Jameson Williams, and the guy they would launch too deep if they're going to get that kind of coverage. So even in how Rome Odunze earned his targets last year, with 68% of them coming 10 yards downfield. So I think if I had to pick one, I would go Odunze. But if I'm playing this game as a whole, I'm probably playing 3 or 4 Lions and just shutting the laptop at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
And just hoping to hear a notification. Yeah. Give me the notification. I'm doing all right.
That's the frustrating part. Like, you look at the Lions defense, which was largely okay. They got better as the game went on, but like, Kelvin Shepherd was hired internally and he was in the building. So he's like, hey, remember all that stuff that we were doing that works? What if we kept doing that stuff that works? And you've got these other offensive coordinators like here, Josh Grizzard in Tampa Bay. And there's proof of concept of like, hey, this is what works for offense. They're like, what if we did this other thing? What if we did this other thing? And like, that's what we had, in week 1, in here with the Lions. It's like, dude, like, the blueprint was already there. You were in the building. Like, you worked under this coordinator. Like, you know what was working and you didn't do anything. Like, the hubris, man, the hubris of these guys.
What do we expect as far as the boost of Tesla as routes? He barely ran any routes the first game. I know it was a garbage time touchdown, spectacular catch. A lot of hype on him in preseason. He looks legit. I guess he would take away from Raymond, I assume. Is this something we should consider? I mean, coach came out and said he's going to get more run. Well, what does that mean? Like 10 routes would be more? Is he somebody that would be in your pool, Rich, if, say, you're running 20 lineups on DK?
Think large field Millie Maker.
Yeah.
Because you ain't playing Isaac Tesla in like the 750,
Is he 3K? Inches. Is he 3K?
3-3.
Okay. Yeah, it's a complete leap of faith. Yeah, it's got to be large field. So he's got to be something I don't play, right? This is why I suck at these, because I don't play these types of tournaments.
I don't like playing him either.
Yeah, because I don't like losing to the dude that played Isaac Tesla. Like, I'm like,
your son actually is the one who's probably playing Tesla.
Yeah, he probably. Yeah, listen, Braden might have ran a Keyshawn Butte lineup last week. Who knows? Like,
scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know if that's true or not. He was on Efton Chisholm, remember? Before that.
That's right.
Until he got healthy scratched.
But we know, I mean, this is the thing we talk about with like drafting rookies versus like week 1 expectations, right? A lot of times, like, you hear like analysts, they'll tell you about like how rookie upside and you want these guys on your rosters because as the season moves on, they tend to just like pick up steam and then they start beating ADP. And then when these guys don't have the full run out in week 1, people are like, oh, what's going on with this guy, right? Like Olamide Zacchaeus isn't going to play over Luther Burden the whole year. Like, Khalif Raymond is not going to play over Isaac Tesla the whole season, right? Like, we're like, these things are going to change. Like that rotation of vagabonds the Texans played at wide receiver Sunday afternoon, like, that's not going to happen. Eventually Jaden Higgins is going to get on the field, but these guys have to earn their plank. And we saw Colston Loveland, a guy in this game too, right? Like, was limited. Like, a lot of time these guys have to earn their reps. They have to develop as players. And it takes time. So being early on those guys, it can be advantageous because we know eventually it is coming for these players. But it is more of a shot in the dark for a guy that literally ran 3 pass routes on Sunday.
Yeah. As someone who writes
more, he can run 5, and 5 is more, right? So he didn't lie. What do you got, John?
As someone who writes the matchups for primetime games that establish the run, Rich obviously also writing matchups at Sharp Football. Week 1 is fun because like everyone's brain is still rotted from best ball, and they want to hear about Keandre Lambert-Smith and Luther Burden, and like the matchups, just go back and look. I wrote one line because that guy doesn't matter for showdown slates at all. Like, Luther Burden was never going to play in that game over Olamide Zacchaeus, ever.
Caleb Johnson had, 2 snaps or something like that? He barely played. Gainwell played over him. Yeah, some weird things happened.
Yeah, and it was terrible. Like, I mean, like, these things take time. You got to let it, and a lot of these coaches, are make these guys earn it. But when you do get the payoff for a Ladd McCon, well, last year had a ton of guys, right? Ladd, Brian Thomas Jr., Bucky Irving, Xavier Worthy, that's you're worried about the money week span. That's when you want those guys popping off for your round 5 guy to now be playing like a round 1, round 2 player.
Yeah. Your favorite play, Rich, before we move on, your favorite play in this game?
I also like Odunze. I mean, kind of the drumbeat all offseason was they were going to kind of morph him into their lead wide receiver. And while the yardage wasn't exciting, he did lead the team in routes and targets. He was also, like Daigle said, he was targeted. They only ran because the Brian Flores, he really had Caleb and those dudes in hell in the second half of that game too. It's funny. Brian Flores was really passive in the first half of that game. And it's like he went out at halftime. He was like, all right. He was running some demon stuff in the second half of that game. But the little bit of man coverage that the Bears did see, Rome Odunze was targeted on 3 of his 4 routes against man coverage. Like, I still think that he's going to be the guy that they want to be like treat like the wide receiver 1 is like an archetypical wide receiver 1, and DJ Moore is the guy they're moving around, doing more creative stuff with. They did follow through on DJ Moore playing out of the backfield too in week 1. He did have 3 snaps in the backfield. They were all runs, but I imagine they're going to have some different wrinkles off of that as well. Lined up because it's Ben Johnson, man. Like, I still believe in Ben Johnson, proof of concept. He had a lot of plays that was left on the table on Monday night, but I still have pretty faith in what I saw, what the Bears were showing. You just need Caleb to play a little bit better and them not to face Brian Flores every week.
And it may still be too early in this game,
right?
The story would be so much different if Caleb just hit Odunze on that play up the side, with a minute to go or 30 seconds to go, whatever it was. Looked like he had some room up the seam, but you were talking earlier about Caleb just being off target, one of the more off target quarterbacks so far in his tenure. All right, we teased it earlier. Let's talk about it. It's Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Daigle. It's a 48.5 total, biggest total on the board. Cincinnati is a 3.5 point home favorite. Their offense went completely inept in the second half, especially last week against Cleveland. But again, we're expecting a lot of points here. Start wherever you want to start.
Liam Cohen was the other coordinator or play caller that I was very encouraged by from their week 1 production. Yes, we are still worried about Trevor Lawrence, who was still the top half of the league in uncatchable pass rate, but Cohen is still trying to make life easier for him. A lot of different mouths to feed. A lot of things going on, including 3 wide receiver carries. I'm not sure if everyone noticed that, but Cohen did sink Trevor Lawrence's depth of target, a full 2.2 yards chopped off of it to 7.8 to make life easier, because he does, think about it, have those kind of guys in Diami Brown, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, who can explode after the catch. So it does make sense to bring those guys closer to the line of scrimmage, like vintage Dolphins, and just ask them to do more. And that's what's so fun about this game, because I think that's the way I would want to attack it. Even if you look at Joe Flacco's performance, that doesn't look great because the Browns did have a lot of things go wrong for them. But adjusting for batted balls and drops, Joe Flacco should have completed 85.5% of his passes. Like, there were still passes on the field that just didn't happen due to the incompletions and errors of their receivers, whereas maybe that doesn't happen with Jacksonville's wide receivers. So I do think we can get a lot of things going on offense here, and so Trevor Lawrence double stacks are still very much in play between Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, even though it was Diami Brown who also ran a route on every drop back. And perhaps if you need to come down in salary just as a saver over Travis Hunter, that's the way you can go. But Brian Thomas, to me, is one of the entire best plays in tournaments this week.
This was kind of the concern about people playing, or that voiced about Hunter. Well, what happens when the Jacksonville plays against a team that has a really good offense, some really good receivers? Maybe he's going to play more defense, Rich. The report is he's probably going to play more defense this week, with Chase and Higgins. Do we care about that? Is that just noise?
Dean, like Isaac Tesla, Travis Hunter only played 6 snaps on defense.
Yeah, I know, but it's going to be more. But it might be 10.
More. 12 could be more.
So, is it just nonsense? I saw the report and I didn't think too much about it, but you think about the opponent, and maybe that's. And there was also a report previous to this. It's like, well, it's going to be week by week, and you'd think Cincinnati is a team where they'd be a little bit more concerned about their secondary.
Yeah, I don't know, because we saw on one of the snaps he played, Tedero McMillan just cooked him, so maybe it's not even a concern.
He did play. That was when he was in zone coverage, though, right? Yeah, like that doesn't seem fair. Like, coaches play zone coverage because you could put any body out there because you're just playing windows. Like, I thought we had Travis Hunter out here to man and body NFL receivers.
I will say for Travis Hunter, I'm not worried about him playing a lot of snaps because he's always played a lot of snaps. And like, I still remember from like his pro day, like I think it was Daniel Jeremiah was like, he was just out here. He ran routes for 20 minutes and was running like deep digs and crosshairs. And then he just went and did cornerback drills. And they're like, he wasn't even sweating. Like, he's like an alien. Like he's done it at every stop. Like granted, we haven't seen anyone in the NFL do it in the modern era, but like, this is what he's done everywhere. I want to put a limit on a player that has already shown like he's kind of a unicorn.
Yeah, and it's also week 2. Like maybe you could be a little bit more concerned as we progress into the season.
We're talking about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins too. Like, what are we worried about?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about as far as like rostering Hunter, but can we quantify? Do we even know? It's a lot of guesswork, but like, how good of a defender is Hunter? Like, and we're not afraid of him. I was sort of thinking about as like an offensive player. Maybe he gets pushed back as far as his offensive plays, but I wasn't thinking from the perspective of, well, you can't play Chase.
He did win the Chuck Bednarik Award and the
shout out Chuck Bednarik
and the Fred Blitnikoff Award in the same season.
He won like 7 different awards. Yeah,
it's not like he was good at both positions, but he was the best at both positions.
Yeah.
And then got $3.5 million in NIL money. Like, yeah, he's literally just been the best player ever every time he's been on the field.
And he seems like a genuinely good guy to root for. Like, I'm like he seems like a genuinely fun player. But the one thing I am worried about this game, and particularly how Daigle laid out about how the Jaguars approached offense, because they did all the things like structurally, we wanted the Liam Cohen offense, or at least we thought he was going to install. That game also got kind of weird because in the first half of that game, Trevor Lawrence was very good. He was very good. And then we had the weather delay, and then the Panthers just did nothing. Like there was no push, and then Lawrence was really bad, and like they tried to do some more stuff downfield in the second half. Because in the first half, Lawrence was getting the ball out of his hands, like Daigle said, 4.1 air yards per attempt, 2.43 seconds to throw in the first half. Jacksonville also had a 59.5% drop back rate in the first half. They're up. They have the weird weather delay. They're up 20-3 at the half. Then they come back in the second half, and they only have a 41.9% drop back rate. He averages 12.1 air yards per attempt. He sails the ball to Travis Hunter that gets intercepted, and 33% of his throws were off target because, again, he's taking more shots downfield that come with a lower success rate. Baker Mayfield masked this again with Josh Grizzard last week. But proof of concept worked early on. They got away from it in the second half. They also didn't get any pushback. We would think, as road dogs, they're going to have to score points. What I'm a little bit worried about here is structurally how the base Liam Cohen offense wants to play is they want to paper cut you, right? What happened with the Bengals in week 1 and switching from Lou Anarumo to Al Golden, that was all he invited. They blitzed at the league's lowest rate. And he was like, all we want you to do is try to beat yourself. And the Browns did that. The Browns acquiesced it.
They are the Browns.
They beat themselves. But so the Bengals, as a byproduct of that, because their defense still isn't good, they gave up the most third down conversions in the league in week 1, 9. They also gave up 2 fourth down conversions on top of that. And as a byproduct, they just never had the football. They ran 49 plays in week 1. The other team this happened to, low-key, that no one is highlighting is the Dallas Cowboys, switching over to Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus has done this at every stop that he's been at. This is Al Golden's first time in the NFL calling plays, but Matt Eberflus at every stop he's gone is saying, I want to play really passive. I'm not going to blitz. I want you to just dink and dunk me, and we're going to try to make a play on defense and, try to get a stop. And what that does, because we've seen this way Jonathan Gannon's always called his defenses too, it's a restrictor plate on play value, offensive play value. You want your defenses giving up chunk plays from a fantasy gamer. We want the Bengals getting cooked because then they're just back on the field and then they're trying to answer. But when these teams are able to have these 6 and 8 minute drives while your Jamar Chase isn't on the field, you're like, oh man, come on. And it's only one game, but I'm really watching the Bengals defense and the Cowboys defense this week. And it may not matter against Russell Wilson, but structurally, these are stylistically, these are offenses we want to just they're going to be just fantasy bonanzas. But if they're going to play this style of defense, it opens up for these long drives and this low time of possession. And Liam Cohen, that's what Liam Cohen wants to do. Liam Cohen's I think the Jaguars are going to be a lot more effective at doing what Al Golden was asking the Browns to do than the Browns were a week ago.
only 7 targets for Thomas last week, only 1 catch. He kind of sucked out on his rushing touchdown on a reverse. ETN was awesome. He had that one big run, and they traded away. It's a little bit less murky there for Jacksonville. Tank is gone, so ETN is very much in play, I think, this week, and he's going to get a fair bit, tooting on his tails, but another rookie that may not quite get there as far as usage just yet. Daigle, your thoughts as far as ETN, as far as the Bengals? If you're going to stack this game, where do you start? Of course, there's plenty of ways, plenty of options to choose.
What are you showing for ETN's ownership? Because I do think his production could be volatile in this game, but I'm wondering again, as we go back to best ball brain rot, how many people believe that Tootin will get involved immediately, because I want to guess that will not happen. Like I want to think that after the trade, would not have said this if you asked me on Monday, but then after the trade from Bigsby to Philadelphia, Bigsby, who ran the second most routes and can't catch passes among Jaguars running backs, like I think we're actually looking for more touches than 19 for ETN this week, and that would get me extremely excited, because then that would also be leverage off of Lawrence and the receivers.
All right. Wednesday night qualifier, as always, understand ownership is fluid. It can change, but we currently have it on our DK ownership at 4%, which to me seems too low. I think that's too low, but that's just it. Rich, you think that's too low? 4%? This could change, obviously.
Yeah, because I just told you, like, if the Bengals want to play that style of defense, like that's how you hit, right? That would be like the pivot, is you would say, all right, if I'm not going to stack this game up and not play for just the bonanza, you would want to do something like an ETN, right? Where the game is slower and it's a slower run out. I'm still doubting if the Bengals run defense is good. Like I definitely am not going to use that week 1 sample against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns' longest run in the game was 5 yards.
Yeah.
They had 21 running back runs. No, they're running back runs. They had 21. They had 21 running back runs. The long was 5 yards. Dylan Sampson only averaged 3.8 yards per carry on runs where he actually got contacted beyond the line of scrimmage. But I will say, this is also if you're in your seasonal leagues, this is your window to absolutely, with neon lights, shop ETN around. Yep. It's never going to be higher, right? Bigsby got traded. They play the Bengals. He just had his career high in rushing yards. But after this, the Jaguars, they go Texans, 49ers, Chiefs, Seahawks, Rams, bye week. Get out of there. Get out of there.
We'll trade him after week 2, because he should have a big week, week 2, right? Is that
if you can, I would, if you want to use it as a carrot, use this as the carrot. Because if he has 45 yards, so you can't trade him. People will be like, well, he's playing the Texans this week. I don't want him.
Risk reward. Chase, which Chase do you prefer, Daigle, on the Bengals? Brown or Jamar?
Oh gosh, I feel like we're still talking about the conversation and Chase Brown flooding optimals, if only for the same touches, because we got the same exact run out that we had without Zach Moss just last year, with Chase Brown handling 23 of 25 backfield touches. Wasn't efficient, as the Browns' run defense held their own. Man. Plus, we're talking about if the field is spending up. I'm not even talking about the matchup right now. I'm talking about DFS. If the field is spending up for Josh Allen and Justin Fields, then can we even fit Chase? So I think that sounds like someone who's tried it. So
which Chase though?
Jamar, I think the spend up. Jamar. You can get Jamar if you want. You can get them both, but you can get Jamar and Lamar.
We still got some cheapies out there. It didn't total. It's not week 1, but we got some guys.
Ridley's really cheap.
I may end up playing neither. It's the problem, both Chases. But I guess if I were to play ETN, it would be Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Chase Brown from what we saw in week 1. You're not worried necessarily about the usage, but I comped in the offseason Chase Brown very much to Kyren Williams. I was like, yep. He's a volume-based player. He's never been efficient, even going back to college. But the edge was that the edge between the two, they play in a good offense. They're going to get scoring opportunities. They get all these touches, right? That's all we care about with running backs. But the edge that Chase Brown had versus Kyren Williams was that he was a pass catcher last year.
Yeah.
That was not the case in week 1. He was only on the field for 42.9% of the dropbacks in week 1. That was 28th amongst running backs. After he took over the backfield last year after the Zach Moss injury, he was on the field for 67% of the dropbacks. So it was 4th at the position. It was a big part of his floor. Go look at his rushing box scores last year. If he's a runner only, it ain't no good, man. And Lucas Patrick got hurt in this game. Lucas Patrick got hurt in week 1. He's not going to play on Sunday. The Jags defensive line was a little bit of a problem. It was the Carolina Panthers, but the Bengals offensive line is not one like we're bullish on. Like, we're not bullish on this offensive line. So, I mean, there are some concerns, I think, that surround Chase Brown. I mean, obviously, you're not going to like run and hide from a dude that had over 90% of the backfield touches, but I don't think it's as clean as we were like the back half of last year either.
By the way, we have Jamar Chase as the 3rd most popular. Okay, I shouldn't say it that way. I ran 100 optimals. I added some variants, and I have Jamar Chase. This is on DK, 3rd most popular receiver. 1 is far above everybody else, and that's Calvin Ridley. Hit the threshold at 70%. I capped it at 70%. Jamar at 25%, and then the other Chase Brown, 4th most popular running back. Now, you mentioned Kyron Williams. He's also seems a little bit too cheap there. He's
also they've got 2 guards that might miss on Sunday.
It could be troublesome. Yeah. Obviously it's a volume thing with
him. One of my guys is in that game, but you follow both Kevin Dotson and Steve Oliva had ankle injuries in week 1. So they're not up. Like the Rams could be down 2 interior offensive linemen. And what we saw in week 1, I do want to talk about something about these offensive line injuries, right? What we saw in week 1 is it had a much larger impact on the running games than it did the passing games. With the Chargers in week 1, moving Joe Alt to left tackle, you lose Rashawn Slater. It impacted the run game a lot more. You're still able to kind of calibrate, if you've got a good quarterback with a quicker drop back game. The Falcons without Caleb McGrary could not run the ball for their lives in week 1. But they were able to create some passing concepts that worked.
Dolphins?
No, the Dolphins did nothing. They did nothing good. They
have offensive line issues. I know they're down 2 more offensive
linemen. They're down 2 linemen too as well. Which is if you didn't think it could get worse than the Miami Dolphins. but this is fine meme. Like, oh my god, yeah. Yeah, they're down 2 linemen as well. But like a lot of these teams that were missing big linemen still found a way to like work around that in the passing game. But it was a big thorn in their rushing efficiency in week 1. And, if we're going to have, multiple injuries now with multiple guys being out, that's also, especially for 2 guys that weren't even efficient as runners in week 1 already. Like I hope these guys fall in the end zone. I had one lineup, no lie, on FanDuel where I had every player score a touchdown and it didn't cash because it was just a bunch of dudes that did Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, James Conner, Brian Thomas Jr. And I was like, oh my God, every guy's got a touchdown. This lineup's worthless.
And that's the touchdown site. That's you're hunting for touchdowns.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you didn't quite get there. All right, that's it, right? Anything else you want to say as far as the 3 main games? You got anything, Daigle?
I still like stacking this game. Brenton Strange still play.
Is he a pivot away from Cleveland tight end?
Fannin?
Yeah, I think he's going to get some ownership. People are excited about how he looked at as far as week 1.
Yeah, he played more than Fannin in week 1. The matchup's good. We still like proof of concept. We knew we wanted to target the Bengals last year at tight ends. They drop back. They're playing a lot more zone. They're not blitzing as much. And what happens in week 1? They allow league high 10 receptions to tight ends. So I'm back in on Brenton Strange still. He led the team in receiving yards in week 1. Was it super sexy and did you get a lot of points? No, but I'm gonna use that.
He led him in yards or receptions or both?
Yards.
Was it like 50? How many was it?
Yeah, 59. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had 49. He had 49. I bet his prop, it was 27.5, and he had 49 yards the first drive. And I was like, oh, wow. I should have laddered this. And then he had 1 more catch for 10 yards.
Dude, Dink was in the ETR Slack Saturday night late. And he's like, what? And he literally just said out loud, what are the ETN ladders? And I was like, wait, what is Dink on right now? Come Sunday morning, ETN obviously has a career high in rushing yards. Just that man is translucent. He sees through 4 eyes, man.
And if you do, and we'll probably talk about, but like he gouged that Carolina run D, and they lost one of the defensive tackles they paid for, Treshaun Wharton. He's going to miss a couple weeks. So a flop lag James Conner again too. He's another good spot.
Yeah, but he lost some of his touches. I guess we can talk about that in a second.
No, he didn't.
No, you don't think so?
It was a myth.
Okay, tell me. Maybe I missed something, but I thought he was on the field a little bit less or touches a little bit less. But that's something we can talk about. We talk about our favorite positions. Favorite players, position by position. We'll do that in just a second. I do want to mention, you saw producer TJ showing off some of our stuff there on the screen. If you're looking to get NFL DFS access this season, you get more bang for your buck with Combo Pro. For a limited time, you get your first month of Combo Pro for just $79.99. That's just $5 more. $5 more if you're getting NFL just by itself. In addition to NFL, you would get all the other sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, college football, PGA, MMA. I'm sure I'm missing something. NASCAR's a la carte. That's all by itself. But everything else, you get all the goods, all the bells, all the whistles, the SimLabs, anything you can think of, the projections, the articles. It's just $5 more. $5 more to get everything else. Of course, if you want NFL by itself, you can have that as well. Do check out the link in the description on the YouTube. And you're checking that out. Hit that like button too and comment. Say something kind. Continue the kindness in the chat. Prove these guys wrong. They said you're going to be mean. They're going to turn at some point. We shall see.
Love us on the internet. The internet needs more love.
Agreed. All right, let's talk about some quarterbacks. So we didn't touch on this. This news broke just a couple hours before the show started. We haven't talked about this at all. We have a 4K quarterback, almost definitely, in Mac Jones at New Orleans, a game that's supposed to have the most total plays, on the turf. I don't know if we need a 4K quarterback. I think he's 6K on FanDuel, and he's facing New Orleans, so it's kind of sort of somewhat interesting, I suppose. We also have a Super Bowl rematch, Kansas City and Philadelphia. We have let's see, what else? There was something else that was of note on this slate that I was looking at earlier, and now I kind of lost it. Oh, the DK Metcalf revenge game. First blood revenge for Metcalf, first game against the Seahawks. We're talking quarterbacks. Hribar. I did tease the idea of Mac Jones. I'm not sure if you dug into that. That kind of sort of somewhat just broke. It's not official, but it seems very likely that he'll be quarterbacking the Niners this week.
I drafted so many effing 49ers, I had to go reach for Mac Jones everywhere this afternoon in Superflex leagues.
I love the memes. Have you guys seen the memes of Christian McCaffrey as like the Scarlet Witch or like Shang Tsung? They're like, he got healthy because he's just stealing everyone's health. He's just like, this is the way Christian McCaffrey stays on the field. He's absorbing the health of all the other good 49ers.
I was picturing the Travolta like all by himself, just looking for anybody else. I
love it. He's just like stealing all their souls.
He's the one healthy one. Yeah, who would have guessed? That's kind of where we're at right now with San Fran. Of course, Kittle is out. Jennings is questionable. We'll see.
I haven't really started building. It's more just like these are the plays are on my radar to see how the pieces fit. And I don't think I'll need Mac Jones, but maybe it comes to be because the problem with Mac Jones is he only has Ricky Pearsall and Chris McCaffrey. It's like all that's left.
Stack it up. Well, stack that up.
Stack it
Mac,
up.
CMC, and Pearsall. That's 100 points right there.
Stack it up. Maybe that's the move. Mac Jones, CMC, Ricky Pearsall. Like that's all. Walk away.
You have no George Kittle, so you just play Juwan Johnson and you walk away. You got the game stack.
What about Jake Tongus? Not Jake Tongus?
Not doing Jake Tongus. I can't do it. This guy never had more. He didn't even have 300 receiving yards in a season in college. I don't know.
His first career catch was a baller touchdown, though.
It was a great catch.
He won the game by battling for that. I'm in a 30. Wrap your head around this. A 32 team super flex tight end premium guillotine league.
Superflex
tight end premium guillotine league. 32 teams, and I won Jake Tongus for $3, and I woke up as happiest as I've ever been because he has to go in my superflex spot.
That is amazing. Who's your best two players in that team?
My first two picks were at 1.30 was Justin Fields, and then on the comeback at 202, Christian McCaffrey. So I am doing wonderful right now in that league. I started Hunter Long, who scored a touchdown in week 1.
Yeah.
Understanding that Liam Cohen runs a weird offense that could get everyone involved. And then I went out and picked up for cheap, not only Jake Tongus, but Adam Troutman and Tyler Bidet this week. So we're ready, buddy. We're ready for these deep leagues.
Who are the other 31 lunatics in this league with you? I'm sure it's a lot of people in the industry. I imagine. I don't know, but
Amon-Ra St. Brown got cut because he was part of the Guillotine League, and he got picked up for like 96 out of 200. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm just waiting for the next best quarterback to fill that super flex spot.
Yeah, you got to.
It seems like the advantage because I have Jackson Dart plugged in right now, just hoping Russell Wilson gets benched. Again, you have to think like Dink in this kind of league. It's for quite a bit of money too. So far so good.
Yeah.
I've never done a guillotine, but it seems like a lot of fun. It seems like there's a lot of strategy.
I was opposed for my brain taking on anything new. This is why I don't play Survivor, because I don't have the bandwidth in season. This is my most fun league by far.
Rich, you want to start us off on quarterbacks? Give any guillotine takes if you have any. I'm not sure if you do, if you partake in those.
I want to say, like, I think I still have PTSD, and TJ probably does as well. Last year when Brock Purdy missed and we tried to stack Brandon Allen.
Oh yeah.
Like I just have and granted, this isn't in Lambeau. It's in New Orleans. So, but like,
yeah,
that PTSD is taking hold of me.
Was that when I was running around India?
Yeah, I know. Me and TJ both made Brandon Allen lineups.
Okay,
and,
I think that's when I was gone. I needed to be here to corral y'all.
You do not get notifications on your phone that your Brandon Allen lineup cast, I'm guessing.
You granted Mac Jones like has experience, and like this was the dream, right? Like, wasn't like Kyle Shanahan always supposed to have Mac Jones? Like that was the rumor. Like they thrust Trey Lance upon him, and now we get to see Mac Jones in a schemed up Kyle Shanahan offense with Jake Tonjes as the third best guy.
So besides Mac Jones, Rich, other quarterbacks that we're interested in?
I'm going back to Drake May because I hate myself. But the flop leg, it's a good spot. I mean, listen, I'm playing guys against Miami until they tell me I don't have to anymore. Like, think about this. The Indianapolis Colts last week, they scored on every single possession. They were the first team to do that in the 2000s. The Bills did it once in the playoffs, but technically kneeled down the last drive. The Colts didn't kneel it out. But also, it was the most points per drive the Colts have had in a game in the 2000s, the regular season. More than any Peyton Manning game, more than Andrew Luck game. Do you think that's a Daniel Jones stat or a Miami Dolphins defensive stat? Like,
I think it's a Miami Dolphins stat.
Bradley Chubb, after the game, literally in week 1, was like, we weren't even playing the defense. Guys were just freelancing. And like if you thought the vibes were bad in Miami, like it's like all time bad. Like it's just all time bad.
I Googled the earliest time anybody's ever been fired. Like, you could bet the first coach fired. And there was some coach that was fired the preseason, but the actual record is, according to the Google, was like week 9. I couldn't believe that. And
really?
Mike McDaniel's going to break a record. Like this record's going to be broken. Assuming Google is correct. I think it was week 8. It was week 9, I think it was.
Wade Phillips? I thought Wade Phillips was like week 4 or 5.
We got to get producer TJ to do a Google on this. Maybe Google just lied to me. Maybe I didn't ask the question appropriately, but that's what Google was telling me. And I was surprised.
A long time.
So it's possible I didn't ask correctly. When was Eberflus fired? When did he go last year? He was about 70.
After Thanksgiving.
It was the Thanksgiving game. Don't you remember the debacle? The Thanksgiving debacle?
Yeah.
The timeout.
Yeah. I mean, so again, that's like just proof of concept. And like May was a guy that was popular last week and didn't hit for gamers, but I'm gonna go back to him because I'm just gonna keep playing dudes against the Dolphins and see. And just
Booty? Do we like Booty? Are we buying Booty?
I do like him against the Miami secondary. There's I like because this is the thing with Keyshawn Boutte is that is it Boutte or Booty? I don't even know.
I think it's Booty, but Boutte sounds great too.
I thought it was like Booty. So we have 3 pronunciations.
Booty. All right, but this is so going back to last year. Like this rolled over. Like this isn't like a new thing. He led the Patriots in air yards when Drake May played last year. Like, and then in week 1, he comes out and has 40% of the air yards in week 1. His last 4 games, he's been the wide receiver 12, the wide receiver 63 to keep us honest, the wide receiver 5, and the wide receiver 17. The other thing is, and I knew this, I was on this going into last week, that Stephon Diggs was still going to get slow played. Like Stephon Diggs is a guy who's going to have a high target rate per route run, but he's not going to be like up to like 80, 90% of the routes yet. Like they're going to ease him in. So I was like, man, and we know Demario Douglas is a slot player. And it's like, man, like I should have been on because I was playing May already. I was like, man, I should have been on Booty, like I should have got there. Like the process should have got me to him. And I don't know. I just like don't know how. I didn't get there. It feels like just like a big obvious blind spot. The Raiders are also a team we want to be playing dudes against. By the way, they're not on this main slate, but like we want to be playing guys against them.
That game, regardless of what the Chargers want to be, that game's going to be hot.
Yeah.
Gino's going to have some fun in that game.
We need Brock Bowers to play, but it's going to be fun. Also, like the Raiders, like they were another team, massive drop back rate over expectation because they can't run. Their offensive line just can't run block, and they had like a lot of explosives. But again, circling back to Kayshawn, I mean, I think there's a reason because the chunk gains are going to be there. Like if he strikes out, he strikes out, but if he hits, he's going to hit on like these types of big long ball targets. And man, again, the Dolphins.
What did the Dolphins have to do for the Patriots to be favored? Like, what else did they have to do for the Patriots to be favored in this game? I understand, and I tout this all the time. You know, Dolphins home games in September, the humidity. They have that illegal stadium where they throw you in the sun. They're in the shade. I'm not sure exactly what time this game is, but you're probably going to be in the sun. And, you know, the third quarter, the fourth quarter is going to really hit the Patriots. They're not ready for this. It is an edge. It's real. But also the Patriots.
If the Dolphins had James Daniels and Austin Jackson, I would also counter with Tua yet again because we didn't learn our lesson week 1. But it seems like both are going to be out. I do not think I am ready to stomach the Dolphins offense one more time, even though Geno Smith did just have a career high 9 passes of 20-plus yards against them without Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, and he's unlikely to play again, it seems like. I know he's not practicing yet for New England. Somebody was telling me they think it might be a contract dispute and the injury's kind of fake. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but that I don't know if did they know something or I don't know, just something I heard rumbling, but unlikely to play in any event. We'll see. Check back on Sunday. My best lineup last week had Tyreek Hill, and I even talked about Tyreek Hill, and I was banging the drum on this guy's so toast, and I still did it because you know, I don't like myself.
I mean, to be honest with you, though, like the underlying metrics for Hill and Waddle were good. They just ran 40 plays, man. Like,
well, they got no yards. Is the problem?
I mean, in the first half, Tyreek Hill had 43% of the team targets and 60% of the air yards. Like he was through 3 quarters, he was at 2.4 yards per out run. Like these are all like significantly better rates than he had last year. Same thing with Waddle, right? Like his target route per route was way up. It was just they didn't have the ball,
which is important.
Which is important. But if you do think like what New England showed in week 1 is like also like is if Christian Gonzalez, he wasn't practicing today, and we recorded this on Wednesday. It's like if he's not back, they played against the team we just talked about, the Raiders, they had the most explosive pass plays in the NFL last week. Like if there ever was a spot, like. Dude, nobody's playing these guys this week.
No. I mean, it's the overreaction week. We said it. Like, this is the week everybody overreacts. And, again, I can't stress, the Dolphins are actually favored this game, despite how terrible they looked.
I mean, dude, the last time these teams played, they scored 34 points on the Patriots with Tua. He threw 4 passing touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, it's just tough.
I get it. I get their tough clicks, and you don't do this as any core plays. Like no Dolphin should be a core play. But in these single entry game stack small fields, like I am absolutely playing this game. I don't care because it's either going to lose all the money and who cares? We lost anyways. I might as well lose my money in a predictable fashion. But like, you know, like if it does, man, because like I said, the underlying metrics actually for the Dolphins receivers were actually good. They just didn't run any plays. And maybe it's just a shit show and everyone's one day closer to death. And Mike McDaniel will truly be one day closer to his NFL death. And then he can go be the offensive coordinator for the Lions and remind everyone that he's incredible.
What do you win when you're right, though, is the counterpoint, what you're talking about. If you're actually right and the Dolphins, you know, do put up 30 on New England. And like you said, in the single entry contests, like that everybody is afraid. Everybody plays scared in those contests. Not everybody, but a lot of people, you know, the chalk gets elevated.
Yes.
Other quarterbacks available, Daigle, not really mentioned, kind of mentioned in passing.
We haven't even done any quarterbacks yet. We're still.
Sorry, who's on your list? Did you fire off anybody on your list?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Drake Mays won this. Drake Mays won this. I'm sorry.
See Drake May, John, and raise him. What do you got?
No, I mean, that's my pool. Like we've talked about.
That's it.
Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Drake May, Mac Jones, absolutely, and then maybe Trevor Lawrence. That's literally my pool. That's where I stop.
Okay, let's jump to running back. Daigle, it's ours.
Do you have any more?
The only other guy that I haven't cut yet is Dak.
Well, I was gonna mention the running back in a non-fun way. So go ahead, tell us about Dak.
Just in general, the Giants, because there were a couple pass rushes I was looking to say, all right, because Dolphins were one, and like I was like, oh, can the Dolphins on paper, this Dolphins have a good front seven, they should be able to get pressure. Hey, like again, Bradley Chubb, so they were just doing their thing, man. They were out there running around. They created no pressure on Daniel Jones, and the other team was the Giants. Like the Giants got no pressure. Maybe they will get pressure on maybe that was like part of it was schematic against Jaden Daniels where they didn't when they wanted to contain him, but they didn't get any pressure week 1, 2. Obviously, we've got Dallas with a huge rest advantage. But when the Giants didn't get pressure, they got smoked in that game. They were 22nd in yards per completion, 20th in yards per pass attempt. I liked a lot of what we saw from the Cowboys offensive structurally. I worry about the play volume, but pre-snap motion, 53% of Dak's dropbacks, that would be a career high if it remained static. They played with tempo. Like I liked a lot of what I saw from the Dallas offense from like conceptually they were trying to do. They just didn't have the football enough.
You can tell you can tell if someone knows ball by asking them if Dak had a good game in week 1. Because if you watch the game, Dak looked like 2023 MVP form. Like he looked awesome. Good. He looked awesome.
All right. I think that's it as far as quarterbacks. Daigle, start us off with running backs. Who have we not yet talked about?
I'll go to that game in the ugly one in Javonte Williams, because you would think after last week's usage, people would maybe want to glom onto him at a cheaper price still this week. We have an unknown ceiling and opportunity, not an efficiency. I'm not even saying we're going to get there in efficiency. We have an unknown ceiling and opportunity given that Miles Sanders only had 5 touches and on one of them he fumbled. So perhaps we see even more after Javonte Williams handled 77% of their backfield touches. The Giants were 3rd in yards per carry allowed, nearly 3 yards per carry allowed per attempt before they made contact with the opposing running back for Washington in week 1. So I do think there's this run out where the Cowboys offense is just efficient again. And then we get Javonte Williams in a Chase Brown role where it's not sexy, but it is 20 plus touches and he falls forward twice for the end zone. So I think Javonte Williams' salary is perfectly acceptable for an every touch back. And then also because of the game script we mentioned, Drake May is definitely going to pop. Like he's going to be one of those guys where when the cards flip, I think more people are going to play them than not. We also have an unknown opportunity for Travion Henderson, who still ended up out touching Ramondre Stevenson after the game because Drake May did struggle a little bit in passing the ball. After the game, Mike Vrabel comes out. He even mentions that some things have to change. They need more explosiveness. They perhaps need to get more people involved. I think that means Travion Henderson, who again didn't even have like the full share of touches and getting out snapped, did not run more routes than Ramondre Stevenson, but we still got practically what I believe is Travion's floor against this very poor Dolphins defense who the Colts could do anything they wanted against or anything they wanted against. So yeah, I also like Travion Henderson at salary still.
Rich?
Yeah, I actually had Javonte on my list too, and it felt terrible, but it does make sense. He didn't do anything to lose he didn't, you know what I mean? I understand like people be like, oh, look at him, he was inefficient, but he actually had the most yards, the most highest percentage of runs over expectation. He was good in pass pro and just like did what they wanted him to do. Like it's like he did the job that they assigned him to do. Like, so he's not going to lose it. So I do like him, especially as a big home favorite against the team that really struggled to slow down the run in week 1. And again, like I do go back to James Conner. So to Dean's point, he did only have 60% of the backfield runs. But last year he was at 67.6%. So he shaved a little bit there. But while he gave a little bit of touches away to Trey Benson, they were all in between the 20s runs. Like the one thing we can give away. The other thing is, though, the other flip side of that is James Conner picked up usage that is relevant, is that Amari DiMercato was iced. James Conner played all the passing down stuff. He was on the field for 55.3% of the dropbacks. His first 2 years in this system with Drew Petzing, it was 46% and 42%. So we're sacrificing a handful of the least valuable touches a running back can have in fantasy football, and we're increasing, the opportunities to catch some passes. Also, he played every snap inside the 10-yard line still. So all the high value stuff is still a big signal for James Conner. And while he was a letdown last week, we talked about the Carolina Panthers. They lost Tershawn Wharton. And they also sucked last week again against the run. I mean, the most career yards for Travis Etienne. When these teams played a year ago, Conner had 166 total yards. I'm going back to Conner. I know I was let down, but this is another spot where just the signal's there again. So we go back to the well.
CMC, kind of mentioned him in passing. Like he's going to get all he can handle.
He's going to be he's going to be so popular, right? Like
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like you think?
I don't think I care.
It makes sense.
I don't think anyone cares, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like he's
dude.
everything.
I talked to someone there at the end of last week, and they're like on a Friday night, and they're like they're going to sit him. They're like they're like they were like if he misses 1 week, who cares? Like they want to be healthy. And like he must have talked his way into play or whatever. And then the dude gets 31 touches.
Like, the only running back in week 1 with 30 touches.
Dude, and granted, some of the stuff that happened in game like pushed it. Yeah. Because they actually did reduce his volume in context of running back touches. He was only the RB15 on the week in percentage of backfield touches. Like they were bringing Brian Robinson in. It's just they lost, so many guys during the game. Kittle, who I played a ton of, man, that was a killer.
By the way, we didn't talk about this. Like those stacks were going to win tournaments. Like anyone who still played the 49ers nuke was going to get there because Kittle was about to triple up David Njoku.
Dude, the first drive of the game, he had 4 targets and a touchdown. Yep. He was about to run. And then Juwan Jennings gets hurt in the middle of the game. And it was down to Ricky Pearsall only. McCaffrey started just getting they started to dial up those plays where they could get the ball to McCaffrey in space as a receiver. He didn't run the ball. And that's something to keep an eye on with this 49ers team of Christian McCaffrey, because this goes back to last year. When he came back last year, they weren't a good running team. And he wasn't an efficient runner. I mean, granted, the touches you don't care about, but they really struggled to run the ball again in week 1. He actually had the lowest rate of runs over expectation in week 1 for any running back. And maybe this is where the age and injuries show up, is the rushing efficiency isn't there for him. But something to keep an eye on, because even Trent Williams played bad last week. It was rough.
Well, wasn't he hurt or playing hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt his ankle. He came out of the game for a couple sections, came back. But they didn't play good when he was on the field either.
Well, I saw Warren Sharp tweet how 49ers are cursed. But at some point, it becomes so consistent that there's something going on. Like this is not a curse.
Like what the hell, man?
Yeah.
The sports science team, we got all these guys got to look into this.
The training staff, something's going on. Has to.
The Cubs fan telling us there's a curse here for the Niners. Curses can be broken, though. It might be broken this week for all we know. Who knows when they're going to be broken?
I'm going to play Mac Jones and find out. So we'll see.
There it is. Robinson did get to your point. 9 carries for Robinson last week. I think he caught a pass as well. They were working him in for sure. But
it would just be egregious of them, though. And maybe Kyle Shanahan's done this over a course of time with Chris McCaffrey. Can't help himself, but it would be egregious to just run this dude into the ground this early, especially because we already had the scare. We already had a scare.
Producer TJ wants us to know: do we care about the historical struggles as far as CMC when Kittle is out? Do we care about that?
No, because we just saw it last week.
And
he struggled. He wasn't efficient. It doesn't matter when you struggle.
And if you play Mac Jones, it's 2 people. It's Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall. Like you said, close the laptop after that. The ball goes to 2 people.
He ran for 3 yards per carry last week.
22 carries, 69 yards. Not nice. 10 catches for 73 yards. Yeah, that's 17 points. 17 points. And
that's where they have to utilize him still, just because of the they brought Kendrick Bourne back this week, and I imagine he's on the field. Last week, Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Russell Gage combined for 34 routes and didn't have a target. So like Pearsall is definitely in play. Like Pearsall, you could like, and granted, everyone's gonna play him, but
yeah.
Did Bourne get any run? Was he involved in that or no?
They just signed him this week.
Okay, all right, because I see him in the roster, and I'm like, I don't remember him out there. I'm like,
No, they just signed him. Yeah, he's gonna play. He knows the offense. Like
we don't know, but Wednesday night, it seems like Jennings not a go, or we're waiting. He's most likely.
It sounds very unlikely that he plays.
Yeah, man, it's like there's just nobody left. Yeah, Bourne, Gage, MVS. I mean, if you're going to do like a power rankings of all time, exercisers, Hribar, MVS is on the podium, right?
What a just true cardio king, man.
Who was the lowest target?
I did tweet out the week 1 cardio guys. Yoshivas, well, Tyler Higbee ran the most routes. Yoshivas was the wide receiver that had the most without a target.
Shout out to Yoshi.
Yeah.
All right. Any other?
Darius Slayton ran 44 routes and had 1 target. Like he was like a real king.
My best ball teams are hurting. I thought he's going to be on the field. I was told he's going to be on the field.
You're right.
Step 1. Step 2, catch the ball.
Someone's going to make a point per route. I think probably be Scott Fish. Like next year, you're going to get like a quarter point for routes or something, like a nickel. You're like a nickel for routes or some bullshit.
Has he ever done pancakes?
Maniac.
Has he ever done pancakes? Can we draft offensive linemen?
Did you guys see that? You guys know Akash. I know Daigle knows Akash. Akash made a league this year where if a quarterback gets a tackle, you get 100 points. And on the Thursday night game, Dak had a tackle.
Yep.
The first game, Dak
a touchdown saving tackle.
He got and the guy he tweeted out the dude got 100 points for that.
That's ridiculous.
He won his league. He won his league with 100 points. Yeah.
You draft the quarterbacks that throw interceptions. Is that the idea?
Yeah, you gotta get
Winston. If he had a role, it would be amazing.
Daniel Jones has got to be QB1 in that one. Rushing, and the interceptions. That's great.
That is spectacular.
That's just so funny because you do that. What are the odds? Like how many QB tackles are there per year? I don't know the metrics, the actual analytics on it, but like the very first game of the season, a quarterback got a tackle.
Imagine losing. You're up 99 points and like Sunday night.
Oh, you don't even have to check that score the rest. Like if that was you're just like, oh, I have to check this the rest of the week.
Derrick Henry looked amazing week 1. He, I was told when you're 30, you just combust. The speed and size combination's insane. He's not slowing down, and he has the Browns and a 28.5 team total.
Did you see that Marcus Mosher tweet? Daigle knows this because when he came the very first time Daigle ever came to visit me, I was talking about Derrick Henry's high school stats, and then like he tweeted it out, so like I was showing to him. Yeah, he's just now within 500 yards of his high school rushing yardage in his career in the NFL.
I've seen the mixtape, and it's really impressive. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I am not playing in that game. There was like one team that actually held him to like under 5 yards per carry. It was like crazy. I would love to just know what they did that game.
There are hundreds of people out there bragging that they tackled, Derrick Henry in high school. Like you're not going to believe this, but I tackled that dude once. He may have gotten 35 yards in the play, but dragged me about 7.
Dude, I was 135 pounds in high school. If Derrick Henry, like I am just getting the fuck out of the way, dude. Like,
yeah, I saw Matthew Stafford. I wasn't in the game, but my high school went to the state championship against Matthew Stafford, and he was a rushing quarterback back then because like he was that much bigger than linebackers, and it was just incredible to see someone who already translated to the NFL like him, like Derrick Henry, play against high school linebackers. So I can't even imagine Derrick Henry. Can't even imagine.
Give it a Google and check out the mixtape. It's pretty bonkers. Any other running backs to talk about?
The one thing that I think that like you can chase that happened in week 1 is obviously the Ravens, but also the Zay Flowers stuff with Isaiah Likely and like Patrick Ricard out. They didn't practice today either. So I mean, you're getting Zay Flowers in this like another run out against a team that's going to play aggressive defense. He actually beat up on the Browns last year. He got hurt in the second game, but beat up actually on the Browns last year in Denzel Ward. So remember that was the game. The Browns always, and I don't know if this week will be the week, but the Browns always have one weird game against the Ravens. Like they beat him in 4 straight years. Remember last year they beat him with the Cedric Tillman game. Like that was Jameis's first start. And like they always have one weird game where they play the Ravens tough. Remember 2 years ago, Deshaun Watson like didn't throw an incompletion in the second half. Like wasn't even good. But then it's like for one half of football against the Ravens was like I'm a channel it. So who knows? Maybe you get something weird in Browns Ravens. Like maybe because everyone stacked Bengals Browns last week. Maybe Browns Old Browns is the way to go.
We didn't officially open up receivers, kind of bouncing around, but I like the Zay Flowers play for sure. I wanted to close the door on running backs. Is there anything else? Any other running backs? Of course, there's a whole slew you can, be interested in. Pollard looks like a ton of usage for Pollard. We saw it last week at a bad matchup for Denver. He's still pretty cheap. He's projecting pretty well. Anybody you guys are holding back, running back wise, or shall we scoot along and talk about some receivers?
I think we touched on everything. Yeah. 5, 6
Rich, what else do you have besides Zay? What else you got as far as receivers?
Our one true king, Puka Nacua. Last week, I tried to pitch Devontae Adams, and for all the reasons I pitched Devontae Adams, it worked. But guess who played at the slot? Puka Nacua. Well, it's funny. It's like not once as I'm like racking it through this, I'm like, well, what if Sean McVay just took his best player and moved from there? That's what happened, right? So here's the thing about Puka Nacua, and my God, this guy was falling in the second round at the end of August in drafts. Last year, Puka Nacua set an NFL record for target rate per route run. He was targeted on 37% of his routes last season. Week 1, 50% of his routes he was targeted on in week 1. Dude, this dude had 10 for 130 and left the game to get stitches and only ran a route on 2/3 of the dropbacks. Like, Sean McVay understands the assignment. He played a career high 53% of his snaps in the slot. He had 7 catches for 83 yards in the slot. That was my thesis on attacking the Texans defense. And here I am just holding my Devontae Adams bags and watching him catch 4 catches for 50 yards, right? And Devontae Adams looked good. I was just like, the thesis of the play. I should have just played Nacua, the guy who gets targeted ad nauseum. But this guy is getting the most craziest usage we've ever seen a receiver get. And I think he should be 10K. I think he should be at DraftKings. He should be over 9. He should be over, the usage this guy has now over a 3-year sample, is unreal. I mean, he should be an auto play in your core. Period.
I don't know if you heard the interview after, but the Rams training staff wasn't getting upset, but they had to keep resetting the stitches because the moment he got out there, he literally broke them again because Puka Nacua only plays one way. He doesn't have a break. He's out there, he's chasing you down. So his stitches just kept on coming out in the middle of the game. And that was as we kind of expected, we talked about that's how it could go. I mean, dude, those dogs were getting after it in that game. Everyone wanted to murder each other in that game.
What do you have as far as receiver, Daigle?
Let's go back to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Even Justin Fields last week when he was throwing downfield against this Steelers defense went 4 or 5. Perhaps again, as we question things translating from week 1 to week 2, maybe that is because of Tanner Engstrom's play calling and opening up more. But Jackson Smith-Njigba, literally 76% of his targets came 10 yards downfield last week. Not to mention the obvious stat in leading the entire league with a 59% target share. So love JSN still at a very reasonable $6K salary on DraftKings. Should probably go up much more in the coming weeks. We talked about Ricky Pearsall, Brian Thomas, Romo Dunze is another sleeper we discussed. I can't get to Bo Nix because we watched Bo Nix play professional football, but I do still think Courtland Sutton's interesting because there were plays Miami left on the field, and now we're talking about Courtland Sutton having a 23% target share at least in 11 of Denver's last 12 games. As everyone else rotates for that offense, Courtland Sutton stays the same, running around on every single drop back. So I do think he's actually a very high floor player who's going to go overlooked as well.
Couple names I just want to throw you guys' way. If Ridley is kind of popular, another guy that had the drops last week, he was talking about that ball coming in too fast from Ward, but he seems a little bit too cheap there against the Rams. Hollywood. Is Hollywood the last man standing for Kansas City?
I mean, can you believe we have Chiefs Eagles? We not once even.
We don't care. Don't care.
Isn't that weird?
I kind of care a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, neither defense was good in week 1. I mean, man, if the Eagles have to trot out Adoree Jackson again, I mean, this dude got abused last Thursday. They already were bringing guys in. They're trying to get Jacorian Bennett, who they traded from the Raiders, got from the Raiders, up to speed. But man, it was a big problem because Vic Fangio talked about in the offseason they wanted to keep Cooper DeJean in the role they had him in last year, but their hand might be forced at some point. Like they just don't have the bodies outside of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They might have to get creative in moving some guys around. I mean, Hollywood had 16 targets last week. Like he's got to
get him.
That's what I'm saying. He's got to be kind of on the board, right? Like a guy like think about this. Travis Kelce, like that was the most game they ever could have needed Travis Kelce. And he had the lowest share of team targets he's had in a game since 2017. Yeah. Like he's going to be 36 in 3 weeks. Yeah. It's just like, he's not coming, like we're just not going to get vintage Travis Kelce. It's not a good matchup for him either. Like Zach Bond is still one of the better coverage linebackers in the NFL. They shut down Kelce in the Super Bowl. Maybe some extra targets come that way, but I mean, you got to be in on some of these guys in this game, I think. I mean, you got some flop lag for Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Dallas Goedert looks like he's not going to play in this game. Yeah. So you've got that kind of runway. Kevin Patullo also on the list, coordinators that were just lost in week 1. He sucked out because the Cowboys kind of beat themselves the last 8 minutes of that game. But man, it was real rough. What the play, the very vanilla, static shotgun, no motion, no play action, just nothing creative from Kevin Patullo in his first game. We're looking to see him calibrate, looking to see him adjust. But yeah, both these defenses were not very special. So there's high ceiling guys in this game. So, someone's going to pop here, I think.
Is Taekwon playable as a cheapie?
Yeah. Okay. Dude, think about this. Hollywood had 16 targets and still didn't have as many air yards as Tyquan Thornton had on 4.
He didn't even reach 100 yards on 16 targets.
Were those air yards or were they prayer yards?
Those are prayer yards.
We qualify those.
Dude, he looked like he had never played football. The first half of that game, Hollywood Brown was just like, it looked like he had never played football. I was like, what is happening with this guy? Every time that they targeted him was a disaster.
Those first 2 games in general, because Eagles, Cowboys started out hot. Like Cowboys were even allowing over 8 yards per carry. And then that lightning delay hit and just everyone comes out so sluggish and bad. And then Friday night, just once Xavier Worthy goes down in the first play, like all bets are off what happens after that because the Chiefs just have no idea what to do on offense because, again, it's Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton. Like that's not the game plan.
Juju, like what's left? There's like nothing left. It's crazy.
Well, Juju was already going to play what he was doing because he was last year. He was the Rashee Rice kind of anchor, like that slot guy, that low A dot, that guy. That's why he did the Juju thing on Friday night.
Is there
their defense lost pieces too? Both these defenses lost so many guys this offseason that it shouldn't be shocking that it's going to take them some time to kind of figure it out.
If this game gets loose, Rich, is it Brown or is it Smith? Which receiver do you prefer?
I like Devontae Smith a lot. Historically, he's been better in this matchup. Like Steve Spagnuolo's dedicated a lot more resources at stopping A.J. Brown. Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe it does. But like Devontae Smith's been the play in these 3 games that like this little mini rivalry we've developed here between these teams. But Devontae Smith has been the better pass catcher. And then anytime one of these Eagles guys is out, like the other 2 just get elevated, right? Because it's such a thin target tree. Jahan Dotson had the big play last week, but they ran a lot less 11 personnel. Maybe it goes up if Goddard's out. But usually it's such a condensed passing tree that when one guy's removed, the other 2 guys are good enough in terms of volume.
You're saying it's not Calcaterra season? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't think so, unfortunately.
Daigle, anybody else as far as receivers? They threw a bunch out there. By the way, terrible job. 3 games late, 8 early. NFL, do better. You got to do better. You're killing me. We have the quad box for a reason. You only have 4 games to throw in the quad box. 3 games and then what? What's in the other screen? All right, there's my soapbox. Daigle, who do we miss as far as receivers? If nothing, just go to tight ends.
That's it for me, unless Rich has more.
CeeDee Lamb is the only other guy, but just to go with my Dak stack.
All right. Tight ends. Daigle, what do you got?
I only got 2. It's the waiver wire guys, Harold Fannin and Juwan Johnson, just because they're so cheap and we all like James Conner. So I'm just going to probably pay down for one of those individuals. I don't know if the quarterback play is going to hold up, but dude, the Saints are going to be fun under Kellen Moore. Like, they let Spencer Rattler whip the ball 46 times, to tied Josh Allen and Drake May for a league high mark. They ran the league's highest pass rate over expectation and neutral game script. And there's just as we talked about last week, there's no competition for Juwan Johnson. Like 51 routes to Jack Stoll's 5. Jack Stoll, who they then put on the practice squad and only promoted him on Monday because they have no one else. So I still think at 3,600 and 3,100, we're talking about like cash game and tournament consideration for both Juwan and Fannin.
Rich?
Yeah, I'm a little lighter on Fannin this week just because, it feels like that's not going to be the outcome every week. Like, he's just not going to run that hot in that snap
competition.
Yeah, and then there is going to be some oscillation because the Browns just aren't good enough, right? Like, there's going to be games where Njoku's on the field for the 85% of the pass plays. Like, he's going to have weeks get targets. Like, it's going to bounce around a little bit. Like, the Browns aren't good enough to where like all these guys are going to get there every week. So it's going to be like, was this a Cedric Tillman game? Was this a Fannin game? Was this a Judy game? It's going to ping pong around a little bit. But the only other guy I had was Trey McBride. Other the guys we mentioned, like Brenton Strange and the other names we talked about, but definitely that's it though.
You talked about Drake May. What about Hunter Henry?
Oh yeah, you can play. I mean, there's not a Patriot you can like. If you're like, I like this Patriot, I'd be like, okay, all right.
It's who? Dolphins? Yes, Dolphins. Sure. Yeah, I was looking at the cheapies, like spend all the way up for sure. For Arizona tight end, or I don't know why for some reason I lost his name, Trey McBride in my head, or there's a bunch of cheapies. And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, Daigle, as far as, things that happened week one, how repeatable are they? Fannin was spectacular, but are we going to look back and say, well, remember him in week one? He was great. And a lot of people were already crowding him and saying
Isaiah Likely last year, man, we live this life.
So I'm not saying I know which way it's going to go. I just think it's, if he's going to be really popular, which I think he is at 3-1, probably going to be there, in front of Okungwu and in front of Johnson is a little bit more expensive. If we're pinching pennies, mentioned Strange earlier, he probably doesn't beat that field, but you never know. Just an interesting thought. But anything else is? Oh, go ahead.
Just imagine what's in the box. Maybe it's even a boat.
Could be a boat.
Could be a boat.
I mean, Tyler Warren probably. What is Tyler Warren this week?
You know what? I don't know if he's going to be all that interesting. Tough matchup against Denver, right? 4-5.
I mean, again, because Juwan Johnson is a tough matchup. Like, we never play tight ends against the 49ers and Fred Warner. But like, if you're that cheap and you're running 47 routes, you're like, whatever, man. Like, Tyler Warren literally set the record for target share for a tight end in his first career game. Like, they drafted him with clear intent, with a clear plan, and proof of concept week one, right? Like, dude had a guy in the middle. Dude had a target on 38% of his routes. It's not a good matchup either, so people maybe don't play him. But remember, we did this last year. There was a game where Bowers early in the season faced the Broncos, and everyone was like, Broncos. And he had did he catch like a 60-yard touchdown the first drive? And it was like, it's.
I'm just surprised Bowers got in the field. I was told he doesn't play and he snaps. And I don't know if you guys dug into that.
It's pretty amazing. A dude got 100 yards without playing a snap.
So I do like the Warren.
We might look back. Bowers. Like, he's like the Chuck Norris of tight ends. Like.
We might look back and see Warren is like going to be a 6K tight end by week 8. Would that shock you guys? I don't know. I don't think it'll be terribly shocking.
Yeah, I'm also kind of. He's the dude that you talk about. It's like, do you wish you had more of? Like, one guy that popped there. Like, I wish I had some more of that guy. He's definitely like, I wish I had some Tyler Warren, because tight end's a wasteland already again. Like, it's a disaster. Daigle, how was waiver wires this week? Dude, at least they were good. At least you got to write up some fun players like Fannin and Juwan Johnson.
Right up.
But then you get asked what your firewall is, like Harold Fannin or Brock Bowers, Harold Fannin or TJ Hawkinson.
God.
Dude, then everyone, and then basically all you have to do all week long is rank, tight end 13 through 26 for every single person. And they're asking you, should you drop this individual or keep Harold Fannin? Dude, it's the worst. It's broken my brain for the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, like, after tight end 2 now, it's just like no man's land. Because you have to rank a dude, like in ranks, like you have to put a guy tight end 4. Like that's how it works. And it's just like all these dudes are terrible. Like I guess tight end 5 is where it starts. But like because like this week, like I have Tucker Kraft tight end 5, and I have the least amount of confidence in like Tucker Kraft as tight end 5. Like a guy that doesn't even like he could have 6 targets. Like
and being reasonable is unacceptable. Like Jake Ferguson, for example, more condensed target tree than the Browns with an MVP candidate in the Cowboys offense with Dak Prescott. Harold Fannin, 3 other guys to fight for, not even playing more routes than the own tight end on his own team, and Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. But if you ask anyone else, Harold Fannin is Brock Bowers, and they don't want to miss out on Brock Bowers. I understand opportunity cost. This is obviously my job, but to talk about it reasonably, just no one's having it. So it's the most frustrating conversation in the world.
To be fair, my take is don't pick up Harold Fannin. I want Harold Fannin where I can pick him up because it's a bet on the player, because this is a player that has been consistently great. And I want to bet on players that were good and keep proving they're good. But
Juwan Johnson,
definitely pick him up.
Juwan Johnson was also very, very good, and we should pick up him too.
Drop the touchdown pass.
Yeah, that's a tough drop.
It was catchable, but it was a tough drop for sure. Isn't there rumors that I know trades never happen in the NFL? They don't have any fun. But was there Njoku trade rumors? Is that supposedly something that might happen?
He's in the last year of his contract, but I mean, I think they want those guys to play together, and it's not like a Gronk and Hernandez thing, but they play stylistically different. They play the position differently. Like you can play those guys in tandem because they do different things.
All right, hour and 45 minutes of content this week.
We didn't even do a movie.
We didn't even do a movie. I won the movie contest, but I'm going to assign a movie for all of us to watch, and everybody listening, watch along with us, and it should be a fun one. Friendship. We're going to watch Friendship. I believe it is streaming for free. I know it's streaming for free somewhere. I think it's on Max, HBO Max, if I'm not mistaken. That is the new Tim Robinson movie. It's supposed to be hilarious. If you like I Think You Should Leave, I imagine you would watch it. Also, it's co-starring Paul Rudd. So we'll be discussing that next week. Before we step aside and get out of here, I did want to get favorite stack, favorite call, bold call, something to get out on a high note here, Daigle. Of course, we touched on a lot of players, a lot of stacks, a lot of teams. What's jumping out to you on a Wednesday night?
I said Drake May last week and it went wrong, even though I still think the process is right. I will go. I mean, I could, but I will go. I think if I were to spin down from Josh Allen, Justin Fields, I think my intuition got to Mac Jones double stacks with Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall. So
I was kind of against it until you guys said just play Mac Jones, Ricky Pearsall, and Christian.
I love it.
I'm going to say Mac Jones doubles.
Now we're all in. We're all in now. We're the movie contest this week is just going to be Mac Jones.
Mac and me.
Mac and me. Yeah, the Paul Rudd clip. We bring it back. Bring the Paul Rudd
yes, clip. It all ties in. The famous Conan O'Brien. Yeah, every single time.
Mac Jones had 2 top 10 finishes out of his 6 starts with a worse surrounding cast. He carried Brian Thomas to a literal wide receiver 1 finish in his last 4 games over Jamar Chase. Like there's a ceiling run here for Mac Jones. It's possible.
It sounds like a bit, but I think it's actually real. I think you can actually play Mac Jones, and yeah, I don't think it's a bit either. All right, Hribar, if you can see Mac Jones and the 49ers stack, raise them. What do you got?
I don't know. Other than Dolphins, Patriots. Just do it.
Oh, boy. And that's Drake May. Who's the run back on Miami? I guess Achan's the safest one.
No, I would play one of their – I play Tyreek.
Tyreek, yeah.
Because Waddle's a little banged up.
Yeah, but Tyreek
I'm doing it, Dean. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the underlying stuff was still there.
I don't want to miss it. I got if it happens, I whiffed on week 1. I had a good lineup and the stink of Tyreek. I'm gonna probably have at least one, like a just in case. I don't want to do it, but
gotta be single entry.
Like the spy, he's gonna be like 2% owned, right? Like nobody's gonna play him. I don't think.
Also, we didn't talk about it. Like Tyrell McMillan had a monster game that was like didn't show up in the box score. Like all the stuff was there. He had an almost amazing catch, like that was a DPI. He had another like pass. He had another 20-yard gain come back that a lineman was just wandering downfield that wasn't even part of the play. Like that got flagged. He had another play where he was completely uncovered behind the defense and Bryce Young was throwing it and got hit. Like there was a lot of meat left on the bone, but there's a lot of opportunities for him to have a really big game, and he's going to have a couple of these big games. They're another team. I think Panthers, like, because they were such a letdown, I think last week is pushed back. Their team is with Arizona because they played a super fun game last year. Those two teams, I could see Carolina bouncing back and like being productive still. But it's just that people forgot that Bryce Young, even the back half of last year, wasn't even that good.
Right. He was good relative to the rest of his career, but that doesn't make him good. That was
correct.
That was my pushback always. The only reason we were in on him in Superflex leagues because he added those little rushing points that we always like from our QB 26 on.
Tep still pretty cheap, 5.4 on DK. All right, Daigle, tell the people where they can find you. Tell the people where they can ask you start-sit questions and all their tight end questions. Where can you be tracked down?
And we moved the waiver wire show this year to draft kit only at Establish the Run, which the subs loved. Lots of live viewers, actually, for the first one. The non-subs, you're not going to believe this, did not love. So a lot of angry people who don't sub to ETR and wanted to see the waiver wire. Nonetheless, it is all available over there at establishthorun.com. Plus the primetime matchups columns. I pushed out start, buy low, sell high. I'm still gathering like all my footing right now in week 2. We're getting back into the schedule regimen. I nearly drowned Sunday through Tuesday, but we're here. We're living. We're surviving.
Rich?
Yeah, sharpfootballanalysis.com, writing up all these games, all the usage of all the dudes from week 1, and a lot of me slandering offensive coordinators. And there are a lot of first-time play callers.
This show didn't even talk about Nick Caley, and like
that's dude, because that game's not on the main slate, but that battle between Nick Caley and Josh Grizzard, two guys that just did absolutely sickening things in their games. I know Baker got there. Like a lot of people think Baker is like still because like he's consensus, right? Like that game plan was a travesty, and like if the Buccaneers think they're just gonna like win games that way, and Baker's gonna score fantasy points that way, like.
He's gonna.
Ibuka chalk was pretty frustrating on Sunday.
Just chuck it up to Ibuka.
Yeah, because the usage wasn't there, the opportunity wasn't there, but he got 2 tuds, and it was like, son of a bitch, man.
You don't think Baker Mayfield's gonna have a 9% touchdown rate every single week?
He might. I mean, he's keep doing it.
He's Jesse Pinkman meme right now. I said that on the show earlier. He keeps getting away with it.
But yeah, those guys, Nick Caley, what a crime against humanity that was.
On that note, we kept you guys for an hour and 50 minutes, maybe a little less if you put us on a 1.25 speed. I wonder what we sound like. This was the NFL Pick 6 show for Rich Hribar, for John Daigle. I was Dean, for producer TJ. Thanks for listening. Go win something. Be kind in the comments. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Do all those things. Win some money. We're out of here. Oh.